It's a Wednesday. That means it's a little QBs and stacks here at WinDailySports.com. All sponsored by the Sharp app. Go to sharp.link, and you can see all the ways you can download the Sharp app, whether that is the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And as you can see here, we're going to be taking a look at this Sunday's slate and taking a look at some of our favorite quarterbacks and stacks. My name is John Jansen. Follow me at JJansen34. And as always, joined by that guy, Tony Jigsaw Cutillo at TCutillo23. Tony, we got some questionables on here, even though most of them should be fine. I think we get Kyler Murray back. But like with tight ends, we have a lot of top options here that are in some fairly decent spots. I think the first one I want to start with, obviously, because he had a great game last game, and it seems like he has a solid matchup, and this has a ton of points. Patrick Mahomes. Are we back on the Mahomes train? Are we scared of Mahomes, or is this it? Like, this is the guy.
I love Mahomes, man.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I was talking about last week when we were talking, I was like, this is the Patrick Mahomes week. He's back. This was the perfect matchup. 5 touchdowns.
You got that one right.
Yeah, the guy's back, man. He's back. And you know what, John? He's too good not to be back. That's why I keep saying, everybody, you can't keep a good man down. No pun intended, right? You just can't. He's too talented. So it was really nice to see him back to his old ways.
Yeah, it really was. And I think, Dallas at times has looked good on defense, and I think overall they're fine, especially for what they are on offense. But a team like Kansas City, even at home, should be able to put up some points on them. So I like Patrick Mahomes again this week. I think he is going to do well. All of the problems were, I would say, a bit overblown. Like, I think extremely overblown a lot of the problems that Patrick Mahomes was having. Look, I think they do have a problem when it comes to some number 2 receivers, but Byron Pringle stepped up last week. Even Nicole Harvin made a few catches. This offense is going to be fine. So I am fine with Patrick Mahomes. After that, it kind of just comes to Josh Allen has a pretty good matchup against Indianapolis. That is not the same Indianapolis defense. So I think Josh Allen should be fine against them. And with the way Indianapolis plays, I know Buffalo's defense has been good, but I think we can count on Jonathan Taylor and Carson Wentz to put up some points. Enough points to kind of push Josh Allen a little bit and this offense a little bit to also put up maybe a 30 spot in this one. So I just think they're going to be pushed enough where Josh Allen's going to need to be relied on. And if he is, of course, Josh Allen can get you a ton of points. So I'd be fine with him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like to see what they're doing out there in Indianapolis with Jonathan Taylor, because this was the thing we talked about last year. How was it the way it ended? He was the bell cow guy. Was he going to be the bell cow back? And he is the bell cow back. He really is, and he's really paying dividends for all those owners, man. So yeah, I completely agree. Josh Allen, though, on the other side, 100%. 21-28 last week. Everybody expected a lot more. He just didn't have to do a lot more, right? So yeah. But this week, I think you'll get back up to those 35 attempts. I could definitely see a 300-yard game and multi touchdowns as well.
So we do have a season-long question here. Would you trade Michael Carter and Adam Thielen for Amari Cooper and Javante Williams?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't. You would not.
Honestly, I love Michael Carter. I love Michael Carter is in a.
Are we concerned just about the offense, though?
No.
I know he is. I know he seems like he's the guy now, but I do kind of worry about just moving forward the Jets' offense.
You know what? The thing I don't worry about it is because no matter what, they're always going to be on the field trying to do something because they're going to be behind. So, and he's not coming out. They're going to continue to groom him for next year, and he's shown some big time flashes. Now, Javante Williams. I mean, you look at this trade, Carter, Javante. I love Javante Williams, big right. Javante Williams guy. Problem is though, they're really getting comfortable with Melvin Gordon down at the goal line in those situations. So you got to really watch that. And I like Adam Thielen, man. Listen, Amari Cooper, yes, is good, but I love Adam Thielen. He just catches touchdowns, man. So for me, I wouldn't do it. Or depending on what way you are here on what side, I would want Carter and Thielen, put it that way.
Right. Like I think for the most part, Thielen and Cooper are a wash. Two guys that are in somewhat good passing offenses. I think Dallas is a little bit better, but obviously a little bit more mouths to feed. But obviously Thielen having to deal with Justin Jefferson on the other side. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a wash to me, this trade, but so I'd rather just keep it. And you're right, Tony, just maybe get the usage with Michael Carter over Javante Williams and think that that's going to get you more. But yeah, I know you can look at Cooper and Javante Williams and go like, okay, those are maybe the better players, but I don't know. Again, I think Thielen Cooper are a bit of a wash here. And Javante Williams and Carter, I might as well just go with the usage. So I'm with you. I'd probably take Carter and Thielen over Cooper and Javante. We're going over some quarterbacks and stacks, and we will go over some of the stacks. I know we're just mentioning quarterbacks right now, but obviously with the quarterbacks that we mentioned, we'll go over some of the stacks that we like with them. Anybody here, because, obviously Mahomes and Prescott, I think you can just interchange those two. That's going to be a huge passing day. Aaron Rodgers, Minnesota, I think is all right. I know Minnesota's defense has been playing somewhat better, but I think that Aaron Rodgers should be fine against them. But what here is kind of popping out to you
I like Burrow,
in sort of
man.
that mid-range? Yeah, Burrow against the Raiders. Because I would like to say, look, you can maybe go a little bit cheaper with Derek Carr. I hate how that offense looks. And it's finally catching up to them that they don't have a really deep wide receiver group, and Deshaun Jackson isn't going to help with a deep threat. At this point in his career, like he's bouncing around for a reason. I'll just say that. He has some ability to stretch the field, but it's not consistent enough where that it's going to change the Raiders' passing offense. So, yeah, I might as well just pay up a bit and take Burrow, and what I think is going to be a decent scoring game for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I do. And listen, there's a lot of adversity on that team right now, and I don't know if they can get past it, man. It's tough. I mean, they're trying, but Darren Waller, not a great year by any stretch of the means, right? So, I really like Hunter Renfrow. I still think he's a stud, man. He's just a do-it-all guy. He just doesn't have the talent, the ability to be that elite wide receiver one, right? Like you're saying. So it's really tough. I love Burrow. You seen him give up 40-plus points last week. I know it was the Chiefs, but that Burrow and Chase connection, man, it's really looking nice. Yeah. And don't sleep on Tua this week. The Jets have given up 43-plus points in the last 4 games. And Tua came in halfway through in the second half last week. Didn't look bad. Him and Waddle have been really connecting. So I think this is a good sneaky week to start Tua in DFS against a really, really bad Jets defense.
Yeah, that's a Miami team that needs the passing game because they just don't have a good ground game. Like Myles Gaskin isn't that guy that can carry an entire workload and they can just run the entire time. I think in the right matchups, yes, you can get Tua, and we've seen it before. He went up against Jacksonville, Atlanta, 2 bad defenses that I would say are just as bad as the Jets, and he put up 25 and 28. So I think the right matchups, yes, Tua is absolutely in play, and I think the Jets are the right matchup. Again, maybe just want to see Tua's finger if it is, but he looked fine. I thought 158 yards in their last game for Miami. So yeah, I think Tua's fine. Everybody looks at Tua as like this really bad player, and I think it's really overblown because Justin Herbert just looks better than him. But even Justin Herbert's going through problems right now. Miami's just a bad. Yeah, he is. He's going through a lot of growing pains. But like Tua's completely fine. There is nothing wrong with Tua. It's more of Miami's a bad football team, and Tua just ended up being, pretty average for a top 5 pick. So, I think it's just a little bit overblown, some of the issues that he has. And he has put up some big-time fantasy days before, and this seems like a really good spot for that. So, at 5,500, I like him out of that entire group. Justin Fields had sort of a breakout. I'm not testing it here against Baltimore, though. It's not like Baltimore's defense is the best. It's just that I still don't trust this Bears offense. And they're starting to run him more, which is what's going to help out. He's had some of his best rushing games in his last start, so I understand that part of it, but it's still not enough to make me believe this offense will be fine against Baltimore and can repeat another good performance like they did last week. So it's just it's a no. It's going to be a no for me, dog. So I'll move on from that one. I think let's get into some of these stacks because I think we kind of.
We forgot. I got to talk about somebody, man.
Somebody else.
We got to revert back the clock, bro. We got to go S on our chest, Mr. King.
No.
Yes. I am going in 5,100. Listen, Washington, huge emotional win last week against Tampa Bay. Huge defensive stand, but they lose their leader in Chase Young for the year. I'm telling you, man, at home, everybody's going to be popping out there. Cam is getting ready. He's going to turn back the clock, John. I'm telling you, 5,100. Put him in a lineup. I love Cam Newton this week. I love him. I do. And I'm
we have documented a lot of problems with Washington before, and their defense looked like it turned the corner a bit. Obviously, losing Chase Young is big. But this Panthers offense still has a lot of potential. And it's not like I'm saying Cam's going to come in here and light the world on fire.
What?
But we saw that Cam can still run, and he's going to run in the red zone, and they're drawing up plays for him to run in the red zone. I imagine it's going to be the same thing again. So Cam has that red zone still threat, goal line threat to score a touchdown rushing. So the rushing ability is still there. Add on to that, even if they do give him easy throws or it's a lot of just dink and dunk, there is still so much talent on the outside for Carolina that could rack up the yards for him, and they can score that way. Look, DJ Moore is a threat. Robbie Anderson's a threat. Christian McCaffrey's a threat.
10 targets, 10 catches last week for C-Mac.
Yeah, right? Which is great, right? But that I think it shows you with Joe Brady. I still think is a really good offensive coordinator. No matter how much I think Matt Rule's just unbelievably trying to throw him under the bus, this is a good offense still. So there is a potential. I'm a little concerned about it, though, just because, in the first true start that he gets, how is he going to look passing the ball? How is he going to look in this offense? How much do they open this offense up? But at 5,100, I'm going to look really hard at that as we get closer to the Sunday slate because this offense is built for quarterbacks to succeed. It just truly is. Sam Darnold is an anomaly. Not an anomaly. Sam Darnold's just bad. Just call it how it is. Dude is legitimately an awful quarterback. And so I do not like him at all. And I think it just kind of overblew some of the problems. And look, if you look, and the projection model could change, Sticks does update it. But as of right now, Tony, you named 2 of the top 5 when it comes to value. Number 1, Cam Newton, and number 4 is Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, so, baby. Yes, I think Cam Newton certainly in play, but to me there is risk involved in that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if I want to do it with this slate, but yes, he is. If you're looking for an option like this, it's not anybody else but Cam Newton. It is clearly the guy.
Think about the numbers, right? That you can build around Cam. Just think about that. And I know we're getting in the sack, so it's a good segue. I mean, if you talk about that Carolina team, right? And you say, okay, I'm going to take a flyer on Cam at 5,100, and you stack him even with DJ Moore and C-Mac, you're talking about a triple threat for under 20,000.
Yeah.
Okay, under 20,000, man. I'm telling you, I'm putting in one lineup with that stack down. I am. I'm all in on Cam this week. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm excited, man.
I know. I hate to say I'm not excited, but I get it because Cam is such a polarizing player since we looked at too much hype for Cam. Just throw all of that away.
Yeah.
He is in a good offense. Sam Darnold, I think, was just such an outlier of how bad he was, and look, we saw this even up close when we watched the Eagles game. He's just bleeping horrible. I hate Sam Darnold. But there is a lot to work with here, and Cam Newton, again, like we saw, does have that dual threat ability still that the DFS community values so much. We should value that with Cam. He camped. Oh no!
Look at see it. No. He can't wait. All right, see it. Yeah, that's all right. I like it.
Oh no! So you know
that wasn't as smooth as see his hair though. You know what I mean? But yeah. My man got the smoothest hair in the game.
He does. The smoothest hair in the industry. See Najad, absolutely. So with that, I wouldn't stack anybody with Cam. Right? Would that be the way you go with that though?
No,
if you do use Cam,
I have 3 or 4 nice stacks that are under 20 grand, and I like the Christian McCaffrey. He looked really good last week.
He did.
130 plus multi-purpose yards, 10 targets, 100% catch rate.
And Cam we saw was checking down a lot in New England.
Yes, and he will. He's not going to throw the ball deep. Right, but they have 2 guys in DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson that can take it to the house. Right, they really can. Look, Miles second in. right? He knows.
DJ
he
Moore
sees
could
what's
be
going
like a
on.
PPR machine.
Yes.
Yeah, he could
5,900
be. Could be.
for DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, your highest player in that stat, John, is 8,900 and C-Mac, obviously, because he's just going to run and catch all over the field. But I mean, you're talking about 59 for DJ and 51 for Cam. I know people are probably thinking Jigsaw's getting overly excited here, but for 11,000, two guys that could essentially give you 50 plus points combined, I'm in, man. I think.
Yeah, no, and if anyone thinks that the Cam Newton stuff's crazy, like I think they're kind of going anti-hype. And I don't want to go overboard with the hype. But again, it makes sense. We value quarterbacks like Cam Newton because of their rushing ability, and it's not like he's in a bad spot. It's not like he got signed like Joe Flacco to the Jets. Like you could say, oh, right. Joe Flacco's really cheap and it's starting. No, Joe Flacco stinks. You're not going to start Joe Flacco. Like it doesn't matter that they're going up against Miami. Like, but that's if somebody wants to make it like that, oh, Cam Newton's coming in, bad situation. He's coming in with a lot of talent around him, and If game planned right, which I think Joe Brady's good, that can work for sure. And I know we're spending a lot of time on Cam, but I think it's worth it because that is going to be a really interesting play this week. So I want to go with these two guys because the biggest game that everybody's going to highlight, Dallas and Kansas City. And of course, they're just two completely opposite situations. Dallas seems like it's too much, and it's really tough to decipher. And Kansas City, it's like it's too obvious. We know it's Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Is there any pivots? So I'll start with the Dak Prescott and the Cowboys though. What did you see with Michael Gallup back, and what do you think we will see? I would stay off Dalton Schultz for one more week just to see what happens, just to see how it looks with Michael Gallup. But what did you see in terms of that usage with those three wide receivers?
Well, obviously, I think everybody's singing the CeeDee Lamb show, right?
Everybody's wanting. Everybody's convincing me about Cam Newton, and this even more. Not just Chase Young, but no Montez Sweat as well.
Yeah,
man.
Listen, last thing I'll say, and again, this is if you haven't seen it on my face yet, I am a huge Cam Newton fan. I've always.
I like Cam. I like Cam,
and I love that he's in everybody's face, like myself. I love that everybody hates him. I love it, right? Because he feasts off it. He's an athlete. You mentioned Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco comes off the street. He's not an athlete. Takes him time to get in shape. Cam Newton looks chiseled. He's actually, I think he looks better now than he did 2 years ago.
He looked fresh. I will say maybe not like in shape, but just he looked like he's had some time off to recover and get refreshed. And he seemed really fresh against Arizona.
Yeah, he did. But to get back to Dallas, listen, you seen the CeeDee Lamb show last week. You really did. And the good thing about Dallas and the bad thing for season-long owners, even though this is a DFS show, is you just never know who's going to be the number one guy each week. Is it going to be Lamb? Is it going to be Cooper? And there's going to be weeks, John, it's going to be Gallup. So I think what you have to do when you look at these three guys is you have to look at who are they playing? What are the corner situation looks like? What do the safeties look like? And who's going to be covering who? Now, what I will say, though, is from 76 to 62 is a huge drop. $1,400 savings if you decide I'm going to pass on Lamb and go with Cooper at 6,200. So that may be the pivot right there as you drop that 1,400 because Dak Prescott.
Right, it'd be fine. And I'll just say, like, you can look at CeeDee Lamb and Cooper and say, all right, well, CeeDee Lamb's been more consistent when you just want to pay up. But against this defense, though, there's a chance both of them could eat. Like there is not one good cornerback there. Sorensen is awful in coverage. Like this is a really bad pass defense. So, like, there's a chance here, and why you might just want to pay down to Cooper, that they both could get, 8 to 10 targets and both be close to 100 yards and both score. Like, it's just, I think, Cooper would be absolutely fine in this game as well because there's an opportunity here for both of them against the Chiefs.
Yeah, definitely. And listen, and Michael Gallup at 4,200.
For sure.
Michael Gallup is that dude, man.
I think he's great. Like he gets overlooked because of Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, but Michael Gallup has actually been a tremendous draft pick for Dallas. Yes. I think he's made so many improvements. So yeah, it could be.
Yep, exactly.
So with Kansas City, it seemed like you had something to say about their ancillary pass targets.
I think you have to really look at the high money dollars here, right? And it's all about how do you want to spend? And you mentioned Nicole Harvin, and he was a guy that a lot of people were like, it's going to be his breakout year. Me being one of them. He actually has been consistent when it comes to target share. Now, what I will say is when you look at this stack, you have to decide on what you want to do. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, double touchdowns, had a great week last week. That's not always going to be the case. But if you want him, you're going to have to pay up high. So you could do a stack, obviously, with Mahomes and Hill and Kelsey. That's going to cost you 22.9. But maybe you pivot Hill and you put in Hardman and you go Mahomes, Hardman, and Kelsey. And then what you're doing is you're talking 18.7. You're saving yourself almost $4,000. That's a big difference. And Hardman, again, the targets dropped last week to only 3, but you do see the 5.576, right? So he was getting targets. And this week against Dallas, remember, Trayvon Diggs is no joke. So it's going to be Trayvon Diggs going to battle with Tyreek Hill. Not to say Tyreek Hill can't beat him. I'm just saying you may see Mahomes look off a lot. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just when Mahomes is really good, 400 passing yards, all 400 aren't going to Kelsey and Hill, you know. And exactly. if you're expecting this to be high scoring as it is, and obviously there's a game stack potential. Now I don't know, man. Like Pringle is it would probably be Hardman. It would, but. I guess just what I saw from Pringle last week, there seems to be at least some consistency with him in the last few games. He's had a couple of games over double digits in his last 5. I'm not saying that's a play. It probably is Nicole Hardman, but it's just tough. I guess the last thing I saw was Pringle, and that's etched into my brain. And I've been disappointed. It's also, you're right, I've been disappointed a ton by Nicole Hardman lately, and that certainly has an impression on me. But I think you're right. Nicole Hardman would have to be the play. If you want to go with some of the ancillary options, I'll ask this because what I might do is just go with more of a stack on the Cowboys and just go with, get more of a stack of them and just go with one of Hill or Kelsey. Kelsey's been really good lately, and he looked amazing. It really looked his best, I think, against the Raiders. Would you go Hill or Kelsey? That would, to me, would be the question. I'd rather get Dallas because I know they have to pass against Kansas City because that is a worse pass defense. Not saying that Dallas will win, but I imagine that that's likely the passing offense that I want more of. But if we need to go game stack here, get a bunch of Dallas, and then know that this is going to be a high-scoring game, you need to get one Kansas City Chief in there, who would it be, Hill or Kelsey?
I would definitely go Kelsey. And the reason why I would go Kelsey is because I think those linebackers are going to be so focusing on Patrick Mahomes, and also they're going to have some over-the-top coverage with Tyreek Hill as well. So I think the recipient of that is going to be Kelsey because he's a receiver in a tight end's body that nobody can cover. Nobody can cover, right? Yeah. So I think the odds are you're talking probably 7 to 10 targets easy for Travis Kelsey, man. Easy. So I would go Kelsey.
I, just for somewhat argument's sake, and also I agree with it, just what I think. Diggs is good, and Diggs has picked off a ton of quarterbacks this year, and he's been great. He is very, very susceptible to getting beat deep.
Oh,
and
he is.
Tyreek Hill is one of those guys that I think is just a bad matchup for him. I like Diggs. I think he's been so much improved this season, but he can still get burned, and I think Hill can absolutely burn him. So I do think I'm with Miles that he could
get him. Miles.
Diggs could get a pick. Diggs could absolutely get a pick in this game, but deep down the field, yes, I think you could see maybe one or two where Hill completely burns him, and there's a big potential, I think, for Hill to be sort of that ceiling play here for me. So that might be it wrapping things up here for us, because what we got to do is some NBA coverage with Ghost. Man. Real quick, because I know we mentioned Josh Allen, and I know at 8.1K it's going to be tough, but I just like the matchup here, and I'm sure some will be going for it. Who are the wide receivers you've been seeing? I know Gabe Davis just had one of his biggest days of this season. Where would you go with Buffalo?
He did. Indianapolis, you said it's not the defense that we once saw it of, right? Obviously. But, again, it all depends, right? If you want to pay off for Josh Allen, do you want to two $8,000 guys? Obviously, Stephon Diggs is the man, but you drop down.
Dawson Knox probably. I know he's been getting a lot of.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I kind of like the value, man. Dawson Knox at 4. I like Emmanuel Sanders at 5,300. I really
Sanders,
like
yes, Sanders.
I really like Beasley at 4,800. As long as he can play. I know he's got the questionable tag right now with his ribs. Ribs are kind of iffy, so. But if he can play, I really like Cole Beasley in this game.
All right, that'll wrap it up for us here for QBs and Stacks. My name is John Jansen. Follow me at jjansen34. Tony Jigsaw Cutillo joined me today at tcutillo23 is where you can follow his Twitter account and also Heat Ratio Sports. And also you can hear him on the weekends here, windailysports.com. But we are windailysports.com. That is it for QBs and Stacks. Coming up next, we actually have some NBA preview with you. A big slate. We're going to be previewing that with Ghost coming up next. Windailysports.com.